Good afternoon, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well this afternoon.
Well, of course, Georgia beat Texas. Why wouldn't I be doing well this
Good afternoon, Mr. Cook.
afternoon? Thank you.
Ms. Bridgewater, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
And I see that the SAP reset date is going to be on November 5th.
That may very well be right, Your Honor. I'm not with you today. I'm just observing.
Oh, okay. I didn't think that
Correct,
you
Your
were
Honor.
with me. I didn't think that you were with me today, but there, there you
I
are.
can't
And
stay away.
good.
Well,
Thank you.
well, well, November 5th, the year's getting away. Sorry.
Yes, yes.
Election day.
Yeah, yes, yes.
Okay, we're ready whenever courtroom 2 and ACDC, whenever you all are ready.
Good afternoon, Judge Morrow. Yes, we're ready. We're going to start here at ACDC first.
Okay, let me go ahead and just give my general announcement to everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. You have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you. You have a right to have an attorney present at these proceedings. We are providing you with the assistance of a public defender this afternoon if you do not have private counsel and you choose to utilize their services. Okay, Francois, who do we have first?
It's going to be number 10, Holloway. Thank you, Judge.
Okay. Good afternoon, Ms. Holloway. You've been charged in case, good afternoon, ma'am. You've been charged in case 24 CR 007165C with reckless conduct. Is there a history who we have on from pretrial? Oh, Ms. Jackson.
Yes, Your Honor. There's no prior history. I'm sorry, Ms. Holloway does not have any prior history on file, Your Honor. She does appear to meet the criteria for UJR through the jail, nothing in addition.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, Ms. McConkey.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. This incident occurred at the TJ Maxx located at 3602 Marketplace Boulevard in East Point. The victim in this case is a minor child with the initials MH. The defendant is accused of leaving her 1-year-old infant alone in the car for approximately 20 to 30 minutes while she went into TJ Maxx to use the bathroom because she was allegedly not feeling well. The vehicle was turned off and the windows were cracked, and it was approximately 56 degrees outside at the time of the incident. Given the fact that the defendant has no criminal history, the state's recommendation will be for a signature bond through pretrial services, that she attend some parenting classes because this could have turned into something very serious. We're very happy that minor child is okay. No drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond.
Thank you. Let's see, who's representing Ms. Holloway?
This is my case, Your Honor.
Okay.
Keith Cook. Your Honor, we'd be asking for an SOB to the jail. What lesson needs to be learned has been learned. She has no record. This was certainly not malicious. We understand the possibilities of difficulties in that situation, but we would be asking for an SOB to the jail.
Okay, it will be a $2,000 signature bond through the jail. I'm not sure if DFAX is involved, but abide by any DFAX orders, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Ms. Holloway.
Thank you.
Number 11, Jester.
Good afternoon, Ms. Jester. You have been charged. Good afternoon, ma'am. You have been charged in case 24 CR 007166Y with simple battery. Is there a history, Ms. Jackson?
Yes, Your Honor. She has 2 cycles. The last arrest was February the 6th, 2023 in Upson County, Georgia for false statements / writings and concealed facts / fraudulent documents in matter of government. That case appeared to be still pending, Your Honor. There are no convictions listed in the GCIC. She was recommended for a UJR a level 2, Nothing in addition.
Hockey.
Yes, Your Honor, this incident occurred at 296 Deering Road in Atlanta. The victim in this case is Tavion Wright. Two people were actually arrested for this incident. Miss Naja Watkins was also arrested for battery, but she posted bond earlier today. The defendant is accused of punching the victim and pulling his hair. The victim and Miss Naja Watkins were fighting when the fight went into the living room area where the defendant was sleeping. The defendant then woke up and began to attack the victim, and both defendants had no visible injuries. The victim in this case, Mr. Wright, sustained injuries to his arms and face per the incident report. So the defendant and Ms. Watkins were deemed to be the primary aggressors. Our office has spoken to Mr. Wright, the victim in this case, who states that the defendant is the sister of his girlfriend, Ms. Watkins. He confirmed the events in the warrant, said the incident location is an Airbnb where they were staying at. He says he's never met the defendant prior to this incident. And after the incident, the defendant and Ms. Watkins threatened to kill him. And they also have people in a group chat sending him threats. He says that he wants no contact with the defendant and he is no longer at the Airbnb. The state's recommendation for Ms. Jester is a signature bond through pretrial services, no further contact with Tavion Wright, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond. And I would ask the court to sound for Mr. Wright.
Mr. Wright, I believe that you're with us. If you choose to address the court, now is your opportunity to do so. You would have to unmute yourself, activate your camera, and I would have to swear you in. It does not appear that Mr. Wright would like to address the court. Mr. Cook?
Yeah, for the record, Your Honor, my client denies the allegations as stated in the warrant. However, we don't have any objection to the state's recommendation.
Okay. As such, it'll be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2. No further contact with Mr. Wright. If there's a stay away, it'll be from the Deering Road address. I'm going to also order 1-day anger awareness and no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Ms. Jester.
Judge, that was through pretrial, correct?
Yes, it was.
Okay, thank you.
What was
Number
the bond
50.
amount?
It's a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2.
Thank you.
Number 15, McLean.
Okay. Good afternoon, Ms. McLean. You have been charged in case 24 CR 007172F with battery family violence and simple battery family violence. Is there a history, Ms. Jackson?
Yes, Your Honor. She has 2 cycles. The last arrest was June the 17th, 2024 in Fulton County for simple assault, family violence, 2 counts, and obstruction of an officer, 2 counts, and simple battery family violence. That case appeared to be still pending, Your Honor. That case number is 24 PI 004358. There were no convictions listed in the GCIC. She does appear to meet the criteria for UJR a level 2. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
Good afternoon, Ms. Allen.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Thank you. That is true for Mrs. McLean. She has an open case. That's a PI case in Superior Court. It is from June of this year. She currently has a $6,000 good bond on that case. The victim in that case is her husband, Robert McLean, who is also a witness in the case you're about to hear about. Her bond order says she's to have no further contact with him and to stay away from that location. So the fact that this incident occurred at that location and he was present is a clear indication that she's in violation of that bond. The bond in Superior Court in that case is specifically for similar simple battery family violence and obstruction charges. In this case, Your Honor, police on the 19th of October were called to the location at 6948 Talkeetna, Talkeetna Court in South Fulton. That's the address she's supposed to have be staying away from. There on scene, they spoke to the defendant's son. His name is Dukinson, Dukenson. Last name is Idore, Idore. He's a junior. He had visibly had his shirt ripped, and he had scratches on his chest. Stepfather Robert McLean, also the victim in the open felony case, answered the door, told police that the defendant, his wife, and her son were fighting. The defendant reported her son is disrespectful. He is an adult, and asked police to go upstairs and talk to him. When they did, he reported that he was about to move out. He was using a carpet cleaner to clean the bedroom he was leaving. His mother came in and was upset with him. I think it was because he was putting the dirty carpet water in the sink to dispose of it. She took the carpet cleaner out of the room, unplugged it from the wall. They went back and forth. He followed her downstairs. Her husband showed police video he'd captured of the defendant in front of you striking her son twice in the face with a closed fist and ripping his shirt open. Her son, who is the victim of a 2018 arrest that was NOD'd by our office, Your Honor, reported that there's been violence in the past. This is kind of an ongoing situation. And I would note that the 2018 case in our office was NOD'd based on information that her son had gone into the military and that things were fine. So there are now 3 instances of violence that are similar. This woman is in violation of the bond order. We haven't had a chance to speak to her son yet today. We're asking for a $6,000 good bond. That would be the bond that she's in violation of. That's the same amount. She's returned to the same location and is being violent to her family members again. No contact with her son, Mr. Dukinson Idore Jr., as well as her husband, who she's already been ordered to have no contact with. That's Robert McLean, and to stay away from the location. 6948 Talk Eat Na Court in South Fulton. Thank you.
Thank you. If Mr. Adore or Mr. Robert McLean, if either of you are on the line and wish to address the court, now is your opportunity to do so. Mr. Cook?
Yes, sir. I need a little bit of clarification. It's the I know the incident location is where she lives. Is this where the husband for whom she was supposed to stay away? Is that his location as well?
Yes, as part of her bond order from June, she's ordered to have no contact with Robert McLean and to stay away from that location. Yes.
Okay, thank you. She denies the allegations in the warrant. Her position is that the son was the primary aggressor. She is not working. She's 41 years old. We would be asking I don't know if a signature bond is within range, but certainly given her financial situation, for the lowest possible bond, the court will consider.
Okay. For the battery, it'll be a $2,000 good bond. For the simple battery, $1,000 good bond. Makes for a total of a $3,000 good bond. No further contact with Mr. McLean or Mr. Adore. Stay away from the incident location. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Ms. McLean. Your client has her hand up, Mr. Cook.
Mr. Clean, I would advise you not to speak. We're not going to reach a resolution today. So you could say something that innocently or not could damage your case. We spoke. I understand your position on this. And I think you've got a bond. The best thing to do is to deal with the case once you get out. And I don't want you to. You're being recorded. If you say something that hurts your case, There's nothing I can do about it. I can't prevent you from speaking, but okay, I'm just warning you. Thank you.
So, Ms.
Yes.
McLean, you can place your hand down, ma'am. You have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you. As Mr. Cook said, quite often people think that they're going to help themselves and they don't, but you have a right to speak if you want. Go ahead.
Your Honor, please, I don't have anywhere to go. I was brought here to Georgia and my soon-to-be ex-husband, I've been trying to get a divorce from him. I have an attorney involved. He's confiscated my money from my account. His name is not on it, and he's refusing to return it to me. I have text messages asking him for it, give it to me. That's my home also. That's where I live.
Okay,
I
so,
don't know anybody here in Georgia. And he was the one that he has harmed me multiple times over the 14 years. I've been defending myself, asking for help, calling the coalition. They're refusing to give me housing. And he's taking my children. I had to fight and defend my kids from him. My 3 boys. This is why all 3 of my boys, if you want to speak to them, they all are in martial arts, every single one of them, because I wanted them to be able to defend themselves. My husband is not an innocent person and he stole my funds. What am I supposed to do?
okay, so
It's
Ms.
not fair.
McLean, so let you speak, Ms. You have been ordered by the Superior Court not to be at that location. Okay, so you're in violation of a judge's order not to be there. If you hadn't been there, you wouldn't be where you are right now. So you need to address it. You need to address it in another way. Do not go back there because
Where should I go, sir? And I don't have my money. He has all my stuff. He has all my money, my
if you
card.
go back there, you'll be right back here. Okay, we're done. Thank you. We have anyone else at ACDC?
Your Honor, could I make one comment to her?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Ms. McLean, what you're talking about is largely civil, and I would advise you, if you think somebody is taking your money wrongfully, to pursue it along that way. That could be just depending on the amounts we're talking about and the issues we're talking about, that could be in state court, that could be in Superior Court, maybe even in family court, depending. So that would be my advice. Nothing further. Yeah.
Okay, who do we have next?
Good afternoon, Judge Morrow.
Afternoon.
All right, I have one quick announcement for Mr. Mike McLean. Position number 8, Johnny Harris, is going to be a medical reset. Okay, and in front of you, we have position 18, Mr. Samuel Raj.
Honorable Judge, good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Raj. You have been charged in case 24 CR 007170C with theft by taking, stalking, obstructing, or hindering a person making an emergency telephone call, and simple battery. Is there a history, Ms. Jackson?
Yes, he has 4 cycles. The last arrest was October the 29th, 2022, with the Georgia State University for criminal attempt to commit a misdemeanor and disorderly conduct and obstruction of an officer. There was no disposition for that arrest. He does have 1 misdemeanor sentence that was in 2022. He received a nolo contendere sentence out of Clayton County for theft by taking. He does appear to meet the criteria for UJRA level 2. Nothing in addition, y'all.
Thank you. Ms. Allen?
I'm concerned that that's the incorrect criminal history. I didn't get any response back when I did a search for Mr. Samuel Raj. So Ms. Jackson, if you could just confirm for me, position 18, Samuel Raj.
And Judge, for whatever it's worth, Eric Bernstein on his behalf, I'm representing Mr. Raj. I spoke to the family today.
That is correct, and I apologize to the courts. Could I have just a moment? I apologize, Your Honor.
Okay, that's fine. Good afternoon, Mr. Bernstein.
Hi, Judge.
So let's while she confirms, Ms. Allen, you can proceed.
My understanding is that this is Mr. Raj's first arrest, at least in Georgia, that I see.
Your Honor, he does not have any prior arrests on file. He does appear to meet the criteria for a UJR through the jail and I apologize to the courts. Nothing in addition.
Thank you.
Thank-
So this is an incident, Your Honor, that occurred on October the 19th at about 9 p.m. Police in Johns Creek were called to 4105 Lakefield Place. The victim in this case is Janet James. She was in a relationship off and on with this defendant for a period of time, but that relationship has ended. She called 911 from a neighbor's phone when she asked for help because the defendant had taken her phone during an altercation. On scene, police located the defendant near the entrance to the complex. The victim was nearby. She had followed him because he was still in possession of her cell phone. She was tearful. She reported that, again, they'd been in an on-again, off-again relationship, that she'd left work at about 7:45, I believe, that evening from Johns Creek Hospital, the Emory at Johns Creek. When she got home to her house, she was sitting in her car. She opened the driver's side door and the defendant appeared out of nowhere. I think it's important to note that this gentleman does not live here in Georgia. He flew from California, and when he spoke to officers, he admitted that he had flown from California to speak to this woman because he needed to calm her down. So she reported that she was not expecting him here. He'd popped up in her parking lot, standing outside of the door of her vehicle. He prevented her from exiting her vehicle, and he also prevented her from closing that door and creating some distance so that she could get away from him. She asked him multiple times to leave, and he pushed her into the vehicle. The defendant then took her phone from her, and he did so by grabbing her wrist and twisting her wrist so violently that she eventually let go of the phone. She reported that this hurt her. She was screaming, and neighbors came outside. At one point, the defendant told neighbors that they could leave because this was a disagreement between him and his fiancée, and they didn't need to worry about it. She was able to yell to another neighbor who came outside and asked for help and got out of the vehicle. She was able to use that person's phone to call 911. The victim in this case, Mrs. Janet James, reported being fearful. She said that the defendant has shown up here in Georgia from Washington numerous times, that the evening that this happened, she received a flower at work by delivery from him. She was not expecting him to be there, and she'd broken things off with him. She showed police an email saying, please leave me alone. I no longer want to have contact with you, as well as documented repeated calls and contacts. When police spoke to the defendant, he reported that they'd argued and that she wouldn't answer him, so he flew to Georgia to calm her down. She reported that the victim is his fiance and he feels hurt. He admitted that he came to Atlanta unannounced. He admitted stopping the victim at her vehicle and preventing her from getting out by standing in the driver's side doorway while they argued, and he admitted to taking her phone. Although this is the defendant's first arrest, he has made admissions to some very serious and escalating behaviors. This is a misdemeanor stalking case, Your Honor, but it needs to be made very clear to this gentleman that when someone says they want no contact, and now when the court orders that, it needs to be obeyed regardless of whether you think because you have a relationship or have had a relationship, you get to fly to Georgia to calm someone down. The victim in this case has requested no contact to stay away from the location at Lakefield Place, as well as her employment, and that's Emory, the Grady Hospital in Emory at Johns Creek as well. She reported that she is in fear. She says that she's received multiple emails, voicemails, and the defendant continues to show up here in Georgia at her home and at her job. So at this point, Your Honor, we're asking for a $4,000 cash bond, absolutely no contact with Janet James, and to stay away from where she works and lives. Also have no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. Thank you.
Ms. Janet James is on the line and wishes to address the court. Now is your opportunity to do so. Mr. Bernstein?
Yes, Judge.
You can proceed.
Oh, okay. Okay. I'm sorry. I misheard you then.
Oh, no, she's not on the line. Well, I don't believe
Yes,
so.
yes, Your Honor, I'm online.
Is this Ms. James?
Yes, I am.
Okay, all right. If you raise your right hand for me, do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, no.
Okay, you can place your hand down. What would you like to tell the court, ma'am?
Yeah, whatever the previous lawyer said is a truthful statement, and he has been coming to my location without informing, and is showing up. I was talking to him. I was in a relationship, but I was not in the committed relationship. I told him several times not to bother me or not to send any email or any call, but he used to call in different phone numbers, and he used to contact me. He appeared several times to my location and forced me to talk in spite of me telling him not to contact me or not to bother me. And the latest incident was very aggressive. When he gets aggressive, he's very uncontrolled. And I begged him not to stop me, not to touch me, but he was constantly pushing me inside the car. And he twisted my wrist and pulled the phone. And he always says sometimes, I will never let you go away from my life, and I will get you. And he also acts sometimes like he go to the ER and text me that he has a chest pain and admitted, and he will send me the email that I'm in the ER right now. I'm having a chest pain all because of you. So he's kind of threatening me every other side to get my attention, to get my contact, but I don't want to get any more contact with him. And I was broke up with him long back, but he's not letting me to live peacefully. Right now, I'm afraid of him, and I don't feel safe. And all I ask you, Honor, I need a no contact or any some restraining order from him, because I'm a single mom and working, and I don't feel safe when he gets aggressive or when he's not in the right mood. I don't know how to say that. He's kind of unstable person. I have seen him several times, so I'm afraid of him, and I need some uh, help in safety issues, and I need some restraining order from him.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Ms. James, excuse me. Thank you for being here this afternoon.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, Mr. Bernstein?
Yes, Judge. Mr. Raj has ties to the community in Georgia. He worked as a minister or a pastor at various churches from 2008 till 2022. He has family here. His brother lives here. I met with his brother this morning. So while it appears that he was in a relationship, perhaps long term, with the alleged victim, he has other reasons to be here. We would, of course, consent to the stay-away order. However, Judge, given that there is no criminal history, no previous criminal history, I think a UJR would be appropriate. I will add that my client has a master's degree from Mercer University in theology, and that he currently works as an executive pastor at a church in Oregon. So I would ask Judge that he be that he be given a unsecured bond. I don't think that there is any reason to give him a cash bond or a $4,000 bond, as the state is wishing, because he has no criminal history. He has ties to the community. However, he's living in another state. There's a stay-away order, so there's no chance of him, or there's no threat of him intimidating a witness. I think the IALO factors work in favor of not just giving him a bond, of course, but a UJ.
Thank you.
Your Honor, just briefly, I apologize. What you just heard from this victim is not only that she's fearful, but that the defendant continues to show up here, that they're not in a relationship, but she has asked multiple times for some help, and she indicated that there's a concern about MH here. And so we would also request an evaluation and following through with recommendations, Your Honor. This is a high lethality kind of situation, and although this defendant has no criminal history, acting like a stay away is going to be sufficient in a case where the defendant has continued to make contact with someone despite their preferences and from the entire other side of the country is just disingenuous. There's something else going on here.
Well, Your Honor, I'm sorry, but what I heard from the alleged victim is they had been talking and they've been in a relationship. So did the relationship end 6 months ago? Did it end when he came to Georgia? I mean, there needs to be a little more content. And just a bare bone naked allegation that there might be MH claims from one party should not trigger a bond condition that somebody needs to get a mental health evaluation.
There's nothing further. For the theft, it'll be a $500 good bond. For the stalking, it'll be a $2,000 good bond. For the obstructing or hindering, a $500 good bond. For the simple battery, a $1,000 good bond. Makes for a total of a $4,000 good bond. No further contact with Janet James. Stay away from the Lakeville Place address. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Mr. Raj, let me make it clear to you what no contact means. No contact means absolutely no contact, certainly no personal contact, but no phone contact, no internet contact, no social media contact, no contact whatsoever. If there is any contact whatsoever, then you'll be in violation of this bond order. All right, good luck to you all.
And Judge, to get a copy of the bond order, do I just need to put my email into the chat or do I need to direct it to somebody?
Ms. Champion is the litigation manager working with me today. Once we complete court, she'll get me the bond orders. I will return it to her, and at that point, we can get you a copy.
Okay, thank you. I'll go ahead and give her my email just in case. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Who do we have next?
This is going to be position number 1, Mr. Alvin Anderson.
Good afternoon, Mr. Anderson. You've been charged in case 24CR007154Y with battery. Is there a history, Ms. Jackson?
Yes, Your Honor. This is going to be a bond surrender. He does have 15 cycles. The last arrest was August the 18th, 2023 in College Park, Georgia for aggravated assault. He was out on a signature bond on that charge. That case number is 23 CP 221124. He does have a misdemeanor conviction and a sentence. This one in 2021 out of Douglasville, Georgia for a DUI. And he received first offender treatment in 2015 out of Cobb County for criminal trespassing. That case was sealed April the 16th, 2015. Nothing in addition. He does appear to meet the criteria for UJR level 3. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. McConkey?
The victim in this case is Tyronia Ferguson. That first name is spelled Tyreyoonnna. The incident location 991 Church Street in East Point. The defendant told officers that Ms. Ferguson was at his residence uninvited and he wanted her to leave. The parties then began arguing and Ms. Ferguson put her finger in the defendant's face and pushed her, causing Ms. Ferguson to strike him in the face. The incident was caught on videos and officers observed the defendant body slamming Ms. Ferguson to the ground several times and then trying to walk away, but Ms. Ferguson continued to engage in the physical altercation. The defendant's father did try to intervene and separate them, but then Ferguson pulled out a knife and started swinging it at the defendant. The defendant's father was able to take the knife away. Both parties were subsequently arrested. The victim, Ms. Ferguson, is currently being held on aggravated assault. The state's recommendation is a $3,000 surety bond, that the defendant have no further contact with Tyronia Ferguson, that he take an anger awareness class and have no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond.
I'm sorry, Ms. McConkey. Who had the knife?
The victim, Tyronia Ferguson.
Okay, thank you.
Well, who's the defendant here? I'm sorry.
This is position number 1, Mr. Anderson.
Oh, I filed a conflict on that because they're cross defendants. Although she's in felony, we're in state, they're still cross defendants.
Okay. Did I saw Ms. McLean on the Ms. McLeod on the line a moment ago. Is this Ms. McLeod, are you with me?
This is her client, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. McLeod?
Oh, boy.
Well, I see her. She's on the screen, but she must be occupied. Can we go to someone else till we get her back on the line?
Sure, Your Honor. We're gonna go to position number 4, Ms. Stephanie Curtis.
Oh, here she is. Here she is.
Okay.
Mr. McLeod, we were on Alvin Anderson. I'm not sure how much of it you heard.
I did not hear anything at all, Your Honor.
All right, so let's start from the top, Ms. McConkey, if you would for me, please.
Yes, Your Honor. Let me just pull my notes back up. This incident occurred October 17th, 2024. The victim in this case is Tyronia Ferguson. This is a dual arrest. Ms. Ferguson was also arrested and is currently being held for aggravated assault. The incident location is 2991 Church Street in East Point. The defendant told officers that Ms. Ferguson was at his residence uninvited and he wanted her to leave, but she refused to do so. The parties began arguing. Ms. Ferguson put her finger in the defendant's face and he pushed her. That is when Ms. Ferguson struck him in the face. The incident was caught on video, and officers on the video observed the defendant body slamming Ms. Ferguson to the ground several times and trying to walk away, but Ms. Ferguson continued to engage in the physical altercation. The defendant's father tried to intervene and separate them, but Ms. Ferguson pulled out a knife and started swinging it at the defendant. The defendant's father was able to take that knife away, and both parties were subsequently arrested. The state's recommendation was for a $3,000 surety bond, that he have no further contact with Tyronia Ferguson, that he take some anger awareness classes, and have no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond.
Okay. In addition, Ms. McLeod, it was reported that in 2023, there's an aggravated assault charge that he's out on a signature bond for, a 2021 DUI arrest, and a 2015 criminal trespass that he took first offender to. Okay, and yes, Ms. McLeod.
Yes, I was going to say I would ask for a signature bond to pre-trial for my client. This is a situation where he was at his home. He certainly was not the primary aggressor. This person came to his home where he lives with his father, and she was the aggressor, Your Honor. My client was merely trying to defend himself. So I would ask the court to consider a signature bond to pre-trial for my client in this case.
Okay. It'll be a $5,000 signature bond through pretrial level 3, 1-day anger awareness, no further contact with Ms. Ferguson, and no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Anderson.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Next, Your Honor, we're gonna go to position number 4, Ms. Stephanie Curtis.
Good afternoon, Ms. Curtis. You have been charged in case 24 CR 007158F with simple battery family violence. Is there a history, Ms. Jackson?
Yes, she has 2 cycles. The last arrest was June 23rd, 2013, out of Fulton County for a probation violation. She does have 1 misdemeanor sentence. In 2013, out of Jonesboro, Georgia, she received a nolo contendere sentence. Her driving while license suspended or revoked. Nothing in addition. She does appear to meet the criteria for UJR at level 1. That's it, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. McConkey?
Yes, Your Honor. The incident location is 1025 Grayfield Lane in Sandy Springs. The victim in this case is Mr. Sean James. The parties do share children. The defendant and the victim were having a verbal dispute regarding taking care of the children in the house. The victim attempted to leave the room, but the defendant blocked his path. The defendant told officers that the victim then began swinging his arms to try to get past her, but she kept blocking him from being able to leave. Eventually, the defendant pushed the victim and they started fighting each other. At one point, the victim had grabbed the defendant by her hair and told her to stop, but she said that she didn't stop because she hadn't yet gotten all all of her aggression out, and she continued to fight him until eventually the victim struck her in the face. The party's 13-year-old came out after hearing the fighting, and the party stopped, and the victim tried to play it off as if they were just messing around. Our office has spoken with Mr. James, who says the defendant and him are in a relationship, they live together, and they share 2 children. He says the defendant went to the hospital to get her foot checked out and was questioned by staff about her injuries. He states that's all he knows and that she was arrested at the hospital. He stated that he has never made a statement to the police because he does not want to incriminate the defendant. He never wanted the defendant to go to jail and does not want to press charges. He says they have never had altercations in the past. He is not in fear of her and wants her to return to the residence. The state's recommendation is a signature bond through pretrial services, that she have no further violent contact with this victim, that she undergo some anger awareness, and have no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond. I would ask the court to sound for Mr. Sean James if he is on the Zoom.
Mr. James is with us and wishes to address the court. Now is your opportunity to do so. Okay, Mr. McLean. Your case?
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Your Honor. This is my
Okay.
case. Yes, my honor. My client denies this completely. My client had to go to urgent care. She's in a boot, has at least a sprained foot. She then was hit on the side of the head by the alleged victim. According to my client, they've reported to medical at Rice Street that she has a busted eardrum. They do have a relationship, although it's my understanding, and according to my client, she has no, the alleged victim no longer resides there. She had a baby about 2 months ago. It was a problem delivery. She's been having transfusions and the like. Since then, she would like to go back to Grayfield location. We know Grayfield Lane location. We understand we're not going to adjudicate the case today, but she was defending herself. I mean, again, we can't produce the paperwork now, but if she's got a boot on and a busted eardrum, they arrested the wrong person. So we would ask for a signature bond at whatever level the court deems appropriate. We would, I don't think we could get it to the jail given the charge, but nothing further, Your Honor.
In light of that, Your Honor, I think no further contact would be appropriate. I wasn't aware of the defendant's injuries, but it seems like it was more serious than what was initially put in the warrant. This did occur on the 19th, so it's only been a couple of days. If I heard Mr. Cook correctly, the victim no longer lives at that residence.
Yes, that's my understanding. I guess we could confirm that with a law enforcement visit to confirm that if that's what the court would prefer.
Well, first of all, I'd like you to listen to what the state is saying when the state is making its recitation, if you would, for me, please, because what you're telling the court is beyond what Ms. McConkey was telling the court, and you've added a lot of dimension to this that makes it much more difficult. At this point in time, if there's nothing further from counsel, it's going to be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. Given what you told me, Mr. Cook, no further contact with Mr. James at the present time. I'm not sure who's residing at the Grayfield address, but if Mr. James is there, then she can't be there. So at one time, police escort to see if Mr. James is at that location. If she's not, then she can stay. If he is, then she will have to find another place to go. Third-party transfer of any minor children for visitation, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond.
Yes, all I can report, Your Honor, is what my client tells me, obviously. So.
Excuse me, may I interject? I am the defendant's mother.
If you'd like to speak, ma'am, you'll have to come on camera for me.
Okay, can y'all hear me?
Okay, here we are. Hello,
Okay. Yes, ma'am. What's your name?
I'm Paula Dillard, Stephanie Curtis's mother.
Can you raise your right hand for me? Do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
Okay, you can place your hand down. Yes, ma'am. What would you like to tell the court?
1025 Grayfield Lane is the apartment my daughter rents. He is not on the lease there. That is her apartment. He
Does he
should
live
not
there?
be there.
Has he been
He's
living
been
there?
there, but he doesn't pay the rent. She pays the rent.
Okay. Anything further, ma'am?
No, I have the two grandkids. I'm on my way there now.
Okay.
Your
Thank you,
Honor,
ma'am.
as I explained
Hey,
to my client,
hello?
doesn't necessarily depend on who's on the lease. Given the amount of time somebody spends there, they do have certain rights. So,
Someone is trying to speak, an Empress Beckford Howard. I'm not sure who that is.
okay.
This is me. Can y'all hear me? Levy, Sean James, can anybody hear me?
Okay, yes, Mr. James, I can hear you. If you want to address the court, I'll need for you to raise your right hand for me. Do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I was trying to hit the button when y'all first wanted me to address, but I couldn't get it right. I'm not that technical. But I do live at the residence. I'm not a victim. I do not want Stephanie to go to jail. We don't have any violence towards each other. We're actually a good team. When she goes to work, I watch the kids. When I go to work, she watch the kids. We go half on our bills. I have no idea what her mother is actually talking about. This is not just Stephanie's place. This is our place. We have 2 infant kids together. We live together. This is not our history. We just spoke last night as far as even talking about going to therapy so this will never happen again. So, of course, I want her to be, but I live here also. If I have to leave, I will leave. But as far as me not paying I pay my portion of rent. Stephanie can tell you that now. She's there. So she's speaking on something I have no idea. Unless Stephanie told her, which is irrelevant right now. The point is, me and her are not violent towards each other. We've never had any issues like this. And we are willing, like we talked last night, to go to therapy to ensure that it never will happen again. But we are a team, we are a family, and we take care of our kids together.
Do you
Okay.
have somewhere else
May
you
I
can
interject,
stay,
Your
Mr.
Honor?
James? Mr. James?
If it's a situation to where she can't come back, then yes. Yes.
Okay. And are you willing to vacate the apartment
If I
at
have to,
this time?
if the stipulations is that we can't be together, even though we raising our kids together, even though we're needed together, because at the end of the day, when I go to work, she babysits. Unless her mother's gonna stay here the whole time and babysit the kids. I mean, we operate together efficiently as a team. This is a one-off situation that should have never happened. We're sorry this is even being brought to the courts, but we're a team. So
Okay. Thank you,
ask,
Mr. James. I understand what you're telling the court. Anything further from counsel?
Nothing further from defense, Your Honor.
Yeah, I'm concerned about the safety of both of these parties. I was not aware of the severity of the injuries, and the minor child was there and saw it. So he has a place that he can go. He's willing to leave. I think no further contact.
I'm not gonna have him do that. Everything was, until it was complicated by the defense counsel in this matter. I understand what Mr. James is saying. She doesn't have a criminal history. I'm gonna allow them to work it out. The bond is gonna be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. No further violent contact with Mr. James, no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. All right, good luck to you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Next, Your Honor, is going to be position number 13, Ms. Renice Martin.
Good afternoon, Ms. Martin. You've been charged in case 24CR007171D with 2 counts of simple battery family violence. Is there a history, Ms. Jackson?
Yes, she has 2 cycles. The last arrest was July the 6th, 2022, with the City of Atlanta Police Department for simple battery family violence. There was no disposition for that arrest, and there are no convictions listed in the GCIC. She appears to meet the criteria for a UJR a level 1. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Allen.
Thank you, Your Honor. The defendant does have a 2022 case, which she pled NOLO to. It's a simple battery family violence. She was ordered to complete anger management and have no further contact with her wife at that time, Mrs. Kuwaiti Martin, a different victim. It's 22 CR 004348C. This case is from the 20th, actually starting around 11 p.m. on the 20th into after midnight into the 21st. Police were called 2 separate times to 3625 Boulder Park Drive Southwest. The victim in this case is Marshina Winters. She reported that she and the defendant have been dating for a period of time and lived together. Her child, one of 3, I believe, at the location, Javion Winters, was a witness. So the warrants in this case specifically state that police were initially called out at about 11 p.m. and there they met with the defendant who was outside at her car, saying that the victim in this case, Mrs. Winters, needed to be removed. The warrants state that they informed the defendant that if they came back to the location, she'd be arrested. So clearly law enforcement tried to negotiate with these individuals and had been at the location previously that evening. It's noted in the police documentation that when they spoke to the defendant at around 11:15 p.m. the first time they went to the location, she was in her car and she rolled her window down and they smelled alcohol on her breath. The victim in this case, Mrs. Marshina Winters, was also spoken to, and she said that the defendant gets violent when she drinks alcohol. She reported that she'd been strangled, but the police documents state that they saw no injuries on her neck, so they didn't do anything, and they told the couple to sleep separately for the evening. The police were called, and the same officers responded again at around 1 a.m. There, the defendant reported, let's see, that the victim was assaulting her basically, and came at her saying that she'd won because police had told the defendant if they came back, she'd be arrested. When police made contact with the victim going inside the location, they saw that there were items strewn all over the house that were different. It looked different than it did when they'd been there recently. There'd obviously been an altercation of some kind. The 3 children were present and in the living room, and they all started to make statements to the police about how the defendant pushed their mom while they were in the kitchen and that they'd witnessed this. The victim reported that after police had left, the defendant busted into her bedroom. They had been separated by police for the evening. The defendant busted into the bedroom where she was and woke the children up and then pushed her, and this was in front of the children. Because of her prior arrest for violence and the fact that police had been to the location twice on the same evening, you have the 2 charges in front of you. We're asking for a $2,000 surety, Your Honor, to stay away from the victim in this case. Mrs. Winters, have no contact with her or her children, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. We have had communication with Mrs. Winters today. She reported, again, that the alcohol is part of what the issue is here, in her opinion. This is not the first time the defendant has been violent, and that the police were called recently, but she was afraid. She is in fear and wants no contact. So the defendant will need a one-time law enforcement escort. And if you would call sound from Ms. Winters, I believe she's on the Zoom. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Winters, if you are on the line and would like to address the court, now is your opportunity to do so. I'll need for you to activate your camera, unmute yourself, and I'll have to swear you in. Marshina Winters, I believe. And it doesn't appear that if she's on the line, she wishes to address the court. Mr. Cook?
Yes, Your Honor. My client is 41 years old, and has worked at Costco for 4 years. Her position is that the alleged victim was actually the primary aggressor. She's not sure if the victim is still at the residence. She has no problem staying away from the victim. If she's restricted from going back to Boulder Park Drive, there would be some difficulty, but she could work around that. Nothing further.
Okay. For each charge, it'll be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1, makes for a total of a $4,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. No further contact with Ms. Winters. Stay away from the Boulder Park Drive address. She can go back to that address on one occasion with law enforcement to retrieve any belongings that she might have there. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond.
Your Honor, if there's a determination that Miss Winters is no longer living there, could she remain residential?
If Miss Winters or I guess her children are no longer at that address, she can remain at that address, but it's going to have to be a one-time police court escort. If no one's there, then she can stay. If not, then she'll have to retrieve her belongings and find somewhere else to live.
Thank you.
Okay. Good luck to you, Ms. Martin.
Thank you.
Next, y'all, is gonna be position number 2, Mr. Braggs, Cameron Braggs.
Good afternoon, Mr. Braggs. You've been charged in case 24 CR 007155F with loitering and prowling. Is there a history, Ms. Jackson?
Yes, Your Honor. He has 27 cycles. The last arrest was July the 31st, 2024 for possession of marijuana less than an ounce, and that was with the City of Atlanta Police Department. There was no disposition for that arrest. He does appear to have an open case pending in DeKalb County for obstruction of an officer, 2 counts in criminal trespassing, and he does have misdemeanor convictions. One in 2022 for criminal trespassing, one in 2019 for disorderly conduct, some additional ones in 2019 for criminal trespassing. There's another one in 2019 for criminal trespassing and theft by taking. And he does appear to meet the criteria for UJR a level 3. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. McConkey?
Yes, Your Honor. This incident occurred at the Bell Terminus Apartments located at 20 Terminus Place in Atlanta. The defendant is accused of walking around the parking garage, looking inside parked vehicles, and pulling on the door handles. When asked why he was on the property, he told officers that he was just walking around. The state's recommendation is going to be for a $1,000 surety bond. All 24 of his arrest cycles have happened in the last 5 years, so there is a concern that he will reoffend. Stay away from that incident location. No drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond.
Okay. Who's representing Mr. Braggs? Mr. Cook?
Yes, thank you. Your Honor, my client is 28 years old. He is not working. He is basically homeless. He has a mailing address that I believe is his father's location. He denies the allegations as stated in the warrant. Said he wasn't there. It wasn't him. And we have nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay. It'll be a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 3. Stay away from the 20 Terminus Place address. I'd like him to have a social worker visit to assist with housing if necessary, and no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond.
Thanks,
I'm
Your
gonna
Honor.
have to let you out, Mr. Bradford. You're gonna have to make sure to show up for your next court hearing. Otherwise, they'll put a warrant in for you. Good luck to you, sir.
Go to the third row. Next, Your Honor, is going to be position number 3, Mr. Omari Coleman.
Good afternoon, Mr. Coleman. You have been charged in case 24CR007156G with 2 counts of simple battery family violence. Is there a history, Ms. Jackson?
Yeah. Yes, he has 2 prior cycles. The last arrest was February the 1st, 2024, with the City of Atlanta Police Department for driving while license suspended or revoked. He does appear to be on probation with the City of Atlanta for driving while license suspended or revoked. That disposition date was June the 10th, 2024, and the term is for 12 months. There are no other convictions. He does appear to meet the criteria for a UJRA level 2. Nothing in addition.
Thank you. Ms. McConkey?
Yes, Your Honor. This incident occurred yesterday at 1999 Bent Creek Way, Southwest in Atlanta. The victim in this case is Tamaya Wilburn. She is the defendant's mother. A verbal dispute was occurring between the defendant and the victim's brother, Demetrius Wilburn. The defendant was irate and attempted to charge at Mr. Wilburn. That is when the victim tried to separate the 2 parties before it escalated any further, and the defendant pushed the victim to the ground and spit on her face. Our office has had a chance to speak with Ms. Wilburn, the victim, who states that the parties all live together at the incident location. The defendant has been diagnosed with a mental health disorder at the age of 16 or around 17. The defendant is currently not taking any of his medication, and this is not the first time the defendant has acted this way, but this is the worst that the defendant has acted. She states the defendant gets into rages and his anger is out of control. She is scared he will hurt himself or hurt someone else, and he has also made claims that make her feel like he will hurt himself. She wants the defendant to get some help with his MH issues. She says she does want contact with the defendant, but wants him to stay away from the residence. The state's recommendation is a signature bond through pretrial services, that he have no further violent contact with the victim, that he stay away from that incident location, that he undergo an MHET and have no drugs, weapons, alcohol while out on bond.
Okay. Ms. Wilburn, I see you there. If you would like to address the court, you certainly don't have to, but if you would like to address the court, you'll have to unmute yourself, activate your camera, and I'll have to swear you in. It does not appear that she wishes to address the court. Mr. Cook?
Yes, Your Honor, my client is 20 years old. He can stay away from the alleged victim and stay away from the location. He denies the claims as stated in the warrant, but he does have a place to go. He has no income. We would ask the court to consider the lowest bond possible, given the circumstances.
For each charge, it'll be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1, makes for a total of a $4,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. No further contact with Ms. Wilburn. Stay away from the Bent Creek Way address. If necessary, he can go back to that address on one occasion with law enforcement to retrieve any belongings that he might have there. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, sir.
Next, Your Honor, is going to be position number 5, Mr. Ernest Ellis.
Good afternoon, Mr. Ellis. You have been charged in case 24CR007159C with simple assault and criminal trespass. Is there a history, Ms. Jackson?
Yes, he has 7 cycles. The last arrest was May the 11th, 2024 in Roswell, Georgia for criminal trespassing and obstruction of an officer. There was no disposition for that arrest. He does have 1 prior misdemeanor conviction since 2019 out of Cobb County for battery. He does appear to meet the criteria for a UJRA level 2. Nothing in addition.
Thank you. Ms. McConkey?
Yes, Your Honor. I don't think pretrial mentioned this, but he has a 2023 arrest out of New York for assault in the third degree and criminal mischief with intent to damage property. This incident occurred October 20th, 2024 at 199 Old Holcomb Bridge Road in Roswell. The victim in this case is Tyla Polos, Pollos. She is the defendant's sister. The victim told officers that she woke her brother up because she thought he had used her loofah. When the defendant woke up, he chased his sister into her bedroom, and the victim was able to close and lock the door behind her. The defendant, who was irate at the time, punched a hole in the victim's door and tried to unlock it while shouting, "This will end badly." The victim told officers that she is afraid of her brother. She was afraid that he would hurt her and that he does have a history of unprovoked violence towards her. The victim showed officers a recording of the incident, and the defendant did admit to officers that he did punch a hole in the door because he was angry that the victim woke him up. Our office has spoken with the victim and the defendant's mother, Cynthia Polos. She stated that she was not present during the incident, but the defendant is always aggressive towards everyone in the residence. She said the defendant has been diagnosed with multiple disorders, but refuses to get any help or treatment. The defendant has punched multiple holes in the wall of the home, and she has multiple children in the house, and she can't have the defendant acting this way. She says she does not want the defendant to have contact with the victim and wants him to stay away from the residence. I will let the court know that the defendant has been accepted into MH court. The state's recommendation is a $1,500 surety on the simple assault, $1,000 surety on the criminal trespass, that he have no further contact with the victim, that he stay away from the incident location, that he have no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond. I do believe the victim's mother, Cynthia Polos, might be on the Zoom, so if you could just sound for her. The victim in this case is 15 years old.
If Ms. Polos is on the line and wishes to address the court, now is your opportunity to do so. Is this, yes, ma'am. Can you raise your right hand for me? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, yes, ma'am. What would you like to tell the court?
I would just like to ask the court if they can require mental health. He does have a long diagnosis, but he just refuses to get the help that he needs.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Polos. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Mr. Cook?
Yes, sir. My client is 23 years old. He's currently working at Walmart and stocking. It's a full-time job. He denies the allegations as stated in the warrant. This is apparently over this disagreement was apparently over a sponge. Given he's been accepted to MH court, we would ask the court for a signature bond and allow him to proceed. Nothing further.
Let's see, Ms. Champion, do we know when the next mental health court date that he can get on is?
Oh, real quick, Your Honor, I'm just looking at my notes one more time. It says that he was recommended and interviewed. I am not sure, I don't know if Mr. Cook knows if he actually accepted the recommendation to go to MH court, but he was recommended and interviewed, and we said we agree with him going there if he were to accept.
No, I don't have any information on that. I apologize. I just don't.
I can see if he can get on for Thursday, Your Honor, but he do have an open bench warrant case with Judge Dixon 24 CR 003429C.
Okay, so he's not getting out regardless. All right, so thank you. I appreciate it.
No, I'm sorry, Your Honor. That warrant, that bench warrant that we had was already dealt with. I went to court for that.
Okay, all right. So Mr. Cook, if that's the case, he will check into that for you. I'd like for him to be put on that first of all, to see if he's been accepted or if he will go. I'll have him put on that Thursday court, but for today, it's going to be for the simple assault, a $2,000 good bond. For the criminal trespass, $1,000 good bond, makes for a total of a $3,000 good bond. We'll put him on Thursday's mental health court if he chooses to participate. No further contact with Ms. Polos. Stay away from the Old Holcomb Bridge Road address. If necessary, he can go back to that address on one occasion with law enforcement to retrieve any belongings. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Okay?
Yes, thank
Good
you.
luck to you, Mr. Ellis.
Next is gonna be position number 6, Mr. Brandon Green.
Good afternoon, Mr. Green. You have been charged in case 24 CR 007160A with loitering and prowling and criminal trespass. Is there a history?
Yes, he has 12 cycles. The last arrest was September the 22nd, 2024 in DeKalb County for theft by shoplifting. He does appear to be on probation in DeKalb County for theft by shoplifting. That disposition date was September the 30th, 2024, and the term is for 12 months. He does have a prior felony sentence. He received first offender treatment in 2020 out of Clayton County for unlawful to remove baggage, cargo, etc. from a bus, a rail, or aircraft, or terminal. That case was sealed May the 28th, 2023. He does have misdemeanor conviction, A1 conviction in a sentence. Sworn in 2020 out of Clayton County for criminal trespassing. He received a nolo contendere sentence in 2019 out of Doraville, Georgia for theft by shoplifting. He does appear to meet the criteria for a UJRA level 3. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
Yes, Ms. McConkey.
Yes, Your Honor. This incident occurred October 19, 2024 at 2351 Rental Car Center Parkway in College Park. The defendant is accused of entering one of the vehicles at the Hertz car rental and attempting to exit without actually renting the vehicle. The defendant could not exit the location because there were barricades that blocked the exit, so he exited the vehicle, and when staff members tried to approach him, he ran away. Employees noted that the defendant had no shoes on. When an officer asked what he was doing at the location, he said he was trying to get a car. The defendant had been given a criminal trespass warning the day before and told not to return unless he had official business there. Per the warrant, the defendant has been arrested for several prior theft cases at the airport. There is an incident from 2020 where the defendant was charged with theft by taking, where he stole a 2020 BMW from the airport rental car center. That case was 20 CP 193156. I'm not sure the disposition of that case or if it's even still open. There was an incident from 2021 where the defendant is accused of taking a 2019 BMW from the Alamo car rental at 4300 Global Gateway Connector in Atlanta. I believe that is also a car rental near the airport. That case number is 22 SC 182446. I'm not sure if that case is open either. There is an incident from 2022 where the defendant is accused of taking a 2021 Dodge Charger from an enterprise located in Atlanta. There's a 2023 case where the defendant is accused of theft by taking a 2023 Ford Explorer from the Alvis rental at 2250 Rental Car Center Parkway. There is a March 6, 2023 case, theft by taking, where the defendant is accused of taking a 2023 Nissan Altima from the EAN Holding LLC car rental, also located at 2250 Rental Center Parkway. So he has a long history of stealing cars from the airport. The state's recommendation is for a $2,500 good bond for the loiter prowl, a $1,000 good bond for the theft by taking. Stay away from all car rental properties at the Atlanta airport. No drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond.
Mr. Cook.
Yes, Your Honor. My client is 29 years old. He is not working. Given the nature of the charge, we understand the background, but given the nature of the charge, we would ask for a signature bond at whatever level the court deems appropriate.
Okay, For each charge, it'll be a $500 good bond, makes for a total of $1,000 good bond. Stay away from the car rental, any car rental place at the airport. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Green.
You go to the girl. Yeah. Come on, buddy. Next, y'all, is gonna be position number 7, Mr. Ahmad Hamas.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Law.
Your Honor, my name is Amit Hamash.
Yes, good afternoon, sir. You have been charged in case 24 CR 007161E with 2 counts of simple battery. Is there a history, Ms. Jackson? Are you with me, Ms. Jackson? Do you have the history, Ms. McConkey?
Yes, Your Honor, I have that this is the defendant's first arrest.
Okay.
This
You can
incident,
proceed. Thank you.
thank you. This incident occurred October 20th, 2024. The incident location is Georgia 120 and 2nd Street, Alpharetta. There was a demonstration going on at the time. The victim in this case has the initials AR. The victim has indicated to our office that he does not want his name said over the Zoom proceeding. But like I said, the parties were at a larger demonstration regarding the Middle East. The defendant is accused of ripping the victim's papers. I'm assuming it could have been like a sign that he had, throwing water at him, and also spitting on the victim. The assault was observed by multiple witnesses. Our office has spoken with the victim, who states that he was peacefully protesting when the defendant attacked him. The victim confirmed the events in the warrant. He stated he is in fear of the defendant. He's scared that the defendant will find out his name and start looking him up and find out where he lives. The victim obviously wants no further contact, so our recommendation is no further contact with the victim, that the defendant undergo anger awareness, and no drugs, weapons, or alcohol, and we are recommending a signature bond through pretrial services.
Your Honor,
I believe the victim with the initials AR is on the Zoom.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Just
Your
sound-
Honor, the shirt that I came in here with, it has his fingerprints and his DNA on it.
Mr. Hamish,
I have another
Mr.
proof. Sorry.
Hamish,
Yeah. The police, they did not scan it, so this is like pivotal evidence. I don't want to lose it, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Hamish.
DNA.
Okay, so Mr.
The other
Hamish,
thing is that, Your Honor,
Here, let them talk.
Your Honor, I'm really sorry, but you need to be careful of this guy. I'm Jewish. I'm a real Jew. He's not Jewish. He's using my identity. He's an imposter.
okay,
I
so
have scientific proof.
this is only a bond hearing today, Mr. Hamish, so you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you. Well, the man's name is on the screen, Ms. McConkey, so.
I am aware, but he just wanted us not to say it loud.
Okay. So I'm not sure if you want to speak, Mr. Rosenthal. If you do, you'll have to activate your camera for me.
Yeah, hi, Your Honor,
Raise-
I'm here.
Yes, good afternoon. Raise your right hand for me. Do you swear from the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, yes, sir. What would you like to tell the court?
All right, so I heard that there are protests going on, pro-terror Palestinians. I can say terrorists because they talk about Intifada and killing my prime minister, but they're saying pro-Palestinians, I guess. It's I feel that I want to go and stand for my home country, for Israel.
Mr. Rosenthal, I'm happy to hear from you. Let me hear specifically about the incident that allegedly occurred on October 20th of 2024.
Okay.
Okay, so what do you want to tell me about that?
So I was standing with the Israeli flag on me and holding our brother and sister kidnapped photos that are still in Gaza Strip right now, more than a year. And then they were on the other side of the street. I was standing the opposite side, far from them, singing my national anthem, Israel national anthem. all of a sudden this guy was walking and coming through to my side of the street, okay, of the road. And I didn't see that he's part of them. I didn't, there are probably 100 or 150 people. He was approaching me, and I felt probably he's one of them. I tell him, please stay away from me. He kept coming, and he all of a sudden spoke my mother language, Hebrew. Said in Hebrew, I'm your brother. I'm Jewish. I'm here to support you. I want to demonstrate together with you, standing with you for Israel. I was kind of suspicious about it, but I said okay, and he actually showed me that he have a Star of David. He just saw, a necklace with that. I said okay, most likely he's with me, which was a good feeling. Me being there by myself. And then he said, hey, give me some of those signs. And, I felt very connected to those signs, some of them with babies that are still in Gaza Strip. I told him, okay, yeah, thank you for coming. You can hold them with me. And then he wanted to start walking away with those signs. I told him, please stay with me. I need those. I don't want, he said, oh, I want to start giving them away. I tell him, no, please, I want them to be with us and you can hold them. I don't want you to take them. They're not here to give away. And he said, oh, okay, no problem. I'm your brother. He started asking me about, if I'm Ashkenazi, Sephardi. Anyway, what kind of a Jewish? Where is my heritage? I said, I don't care. It doesn't really matter. I'm Jewish, and we're all brothers. It's okay, and it doesn't matter you're Jewish or not. Thank you for coming and being here with us, standing for Israel. And then he said, he was holding. He said, okay, yeah, I want to be here with you. And then I said, okay, I have my flag, my Israeli flag on me. I tell him, okay, so let's sing our Israeli national anthem together. I will start singing it while they're saying horrible stuff. And I was start singing my home country national anthem. He was there with me, and I guess after a few seconds he realized that he don't want to pretend anymore. And what he did, he took those signs, tear them apart, signs with babies again, tear them, all of them, and start cursing me and spitting in my face a few times. I was shocked. I was start going back. Then he took, I hope it's water. I'm not too sure if it's water or not, but he took a bottle, start spraying it like that on me. And I walked away. While it happened, group of about 4 or 5 people from their side start running, to my side of the street. Was no cars at that time. They were running. I said, oh my God, was a big mistake to come here, even though I want to stand for my country. But honestly, it wasn't smart to come by myself. They were running, and then I was kind of walking back. This guy, he was grabbing my bag, start running with it, okay? And then another guy come and start try to punch me. I was walking back, and then he was ripping the flag from my shoulders. And then I was lucky because honestly, from their group, 2 other guys, they said, no, we wanted to keep it peaceful. We're sorry, that we don't want violence over here. I tell them, yeah, please. And then one of their guys, it was running after.
Okay. So, Mr. Rosenthal, is anything else that's alleged that you're saying that Mr. Hamash did? Don't tell me about everybody else. Just
Yeah. So he was running with my bag. I was start running. The other guy was grabbing my flag and run away. I would start running to try to get my bag back. And then the other guy, well, I don't, honestly, it happened fast. Either he threw the bag or the other guy took it from him. I managed to get, after like a minute or 2, the bag back to my position. He was coming again really close to me, start yelling in Hebrew or in English. I think it was in Hebrew, go back to Europe. It's not your country. I tell him, of course it's our country. Israel is our nation. And he was start yelling, and then I tell him, don't come close to me. And I was Oh, and I have to say it, but
Okay, so Mr. Rosenthal, we're not, this is just a
Honor, I
bond
have a
hearing.
video of him
Okay?
chasing me with a big stick.
Okay,
I have a video.
stop
If
him
you
from
appeal, Your
talking
Honor, we
there,
never call him
Norris.
self-defense.
Norris, can we put him on mute?
Sorry.
I got you.
And
Thank
Your
you.
Honor, just to let the court know, this incident was caught on video, along with the fact that there were witnesses. And Mr. Cook, I'm sure, can speak more to this, but he might need a BHET or an MHET.
All right, I get the gist of it, Mr. Rosenthal. Thank you for being here this afternoon, sir.
thank you.
Ms. Jackson, you've been trying to get in on this for a minute.
Yes, Your Honor. He does not have any prior arrests on file. He appeared to meet the criteria for a UJR through the jail. Nothing in addition.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Cook?
Yes, Your Honor, they seem to be an argument between people on the same side. My client position is that the alleged victim was the aggressor. Obviously, I have not seen any video. We don't get that kind of information this early. We would be seeking a signature bond through the jail. We have no problem with no further contact. I don't think they're in contact with the gentleman. The issue anyway. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay, as this goes forward, Mr. Rosenthal, you could be in contact with the solicitor's office. They will be in contact with you to let you know when the next hearing date and things of that nature is. For the present time, it'll be $1,000 signature bond through pretrial. For each charge, makes for a total of a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. No further contact with Mr. Rosenthal. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond.
I want, if you don't mind, sir, one thing, Your Honor, possible to say that he cannot come a few hundred feet for me, or like, because I feel threatened. To be honest with you,
He's not to be around you whatsoever. So there's not to be any contact, personal contact, phone contact, internet contact, email contact, no contact whatsoever. If there is any contact, you let the solicitor's office know and they'll deal with it, okay?
Hopefully not from his friends too. You know, I don't want nothing to do with those people. So
okay, very good. Thank you for being here this afternoon.
thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Who do we have next?
Next is going to be position number 12, Mr. Willie Kemp.
Good afternoon, Mr. Kemp. Let's see, you've been charged in case 24CR007168G with simple battery, family violence, and possession or use of drug-related objects. Is there a history? Ms. Jackson?
Is this Mr. Willie Kemp, Your Honor?
Yes, it is, position 12.
He has 44 cycles. The last arrest was June the 7th, 2023 in Fulton County for false statements and obstruction of an officer. He does appear to have an open case pending in Fulton County for aggravated assault and battery. That case number is 24 SC 001849. And he appears to be on probation in Fulton County for obstruction of an officer and 4 counts of false imprisonment. That case number is 23 SC 189057. That disposition date was October the 24th, 2023. And the term is for 7 years and 4 months. He does have prior felony convictions, one in 2011 for terroristic threats and act and criminal damage to property in the 2nd degree, one in 2004 for possession of cocaine. And he does have misdemeanor convictions, one in 2018 for criminal trespassing. There's an additional one in 2018 for stalking, one in 2016 for criminal trespassing, one in 2008 for battery, one in 2007 for disorderly conduct, one in 2004 for disorderly conduct and battery. He does appear to meet the criteria for UJR at level 3. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. McConkey?
Yes, Your Honor. It looks like he also has a 2023 arrest for battery, family violence, terroristic threats, and 3 counts of false imprisonment. That case looks like it was dismissed, as well as a 2022 arrest for battery, a 2018 arrest for simple assault and a 2018 CWAC out of Alabama. This incident occurred October 19th, 2024 at 2757 Revere Drive Northwest in Atlanta. The victim in this case is Jacqueline Kemp, the defendant's sister. The defendant was arguing with his mother, Linda Kemp, in the bedroom when the victim went in and told the defendant to leave. The defendant then struck the victim in the head with a wooden chair. Officers did not note any visible injuries to the victim. Officers did find the defendant sitting on the living room sofa with a small amount of marijuana and alcohol. He did admit to smoking and drinking earlier in the day. When officers were conducting a search incident to arrest, they located a crack pipe on the couch right where the defendant had been sitting. Officers have spoken with the defendant's mother, Mrs. Linda Kemp, multiple times regarding verbal arguments and disputes between the parties, and have told Ms. Kemp to take out a TPO on the defendant, but Mrs. Kemp, his mother, continues to allow the defendant to come back to the residence due to him not having a place to shower or sleep. Our office has spoken with the victim, Jacqueline Kemp, who stated that the defendant does not live at the residence and is only allowed to come there to take a shower. She confirmed the events in the warrant and stated that the defendant only gets this way when he is under the influence of drugs, said the defendant needs help with his drug problem, and until he gets that help, she does not want him to return to the residence. That 2023 SC 189057 case that Ms. Jackson mentioned involves the defendant's mother, Linda Kemp. He was ordered to have no further violent contact with his mother. The 2023 battery, terroristic threats, and false imprisonment that I mentioned also involves his mother, Ms. Linda Kemp. This defendant has a history that includes numerous convictions and arrests for violence, including violence against his mother. So there is a concern that the defendant will intimidate both his mother and sister, that he will reoffend, and we just want to ensure that these two women are kept safe. So the state's recommendation is a $4,000 surety bond on the simple battery, a $1,000 surety bond on the possession of drug-related objects, that he have absolutely no further contact with Jacqueline Kemp or Linda Kemp, his mother, that he undergo an FBIP or at the very least do some anger awareness, that he do an ADET, and that he have no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond. I would ask the court to sound for the victim in this case, Miss Jacqueline Kemp.
If Ms. Kemp is on the line and wishes to address the court, now is your opportunity to do so. Doesn't appear so. Mr. Cook?
Yes, hi, Your Honor. My client is 44 years old. He does, occasionally go to Revere Drive. He is living in a Mission. His position to me is simply that he denies the allegations that stated in the warrant. I think the warrant says that Jacqueline Kemp has no visible injuries. He reports to me that he went to Grady, had a CT scan, and then it was reported back to Fulton County Authority that he had a skull fracture from being hit in the head with the wooden chair from the alleged victim. Now, I don't have the paperwork at this point, obviously, and that's his position. We understand the nature of the history. He is not working, obviously. So we would ask, hang on, Mr. Kemp, we would ask for the lowest possible bond. I don't know if he would be eligible for a signature bond. I think technically perhaps not, but that's what we would be asking for. Nothing further. Mr. Kemp, we're working on your bond. We're not going to try the case today. We're not going to reach a resolution today. We're not going to put up any evidence or enter a plea. We're only going to discuss the allegations and the bond. I would advise you not to speak.
No, I was going to speak. It wasn't going to be anything. I had an injury on my job, and it held me off. I had a knee injury and a hand injury, as you can see, and it stopped me from having work. So as far as when I get out of here, I will be able to continue to get to work, and I will be able to continue to go back to the mission and I will not be able, like I said, go back to the residence, which is totally fine with me. I just need to get back to work, get back to good health, and continue on my life, so, Your Honor.
For the simple battery, it'll be a $1,500 good bond. For the possession, a $500 good bond, makes for a total of a $2,000 good bond. No further contact with Jacqueline or Linda Kemp. Stay away from the incident location. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Kemp.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Next, Your Honor, is going to be position number 14, Mr. Joseph Matthews.
That'll be my case, Your Honor.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Matthews. You've been charged in case 24CR007169Y with simple battery and criminal trespass. Is there a history, Ms. Jackson?
Yes, he has 17 cycles. The last arrest was November the 30th, 2021 in Fulton County for robbery. He does appear to be on probation in Fulton County for robbery. That case number is 22 SC 180511. That disposition date was June the 21st, 2022, and the term is for 4 years. He does have prior felony convictions. One in 2009 for 2 counts of armed robbery and possession of a firearm or a knife during commission of a felony, and 2 counts of possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. And there was one in 2004 out of Lowndes County for theft by receiving stolen property. He does have misdemeanor convictions, one in 2008 for criminal trespassing, one in 2006 for theft by taking, an additional one in 2006 out of Cherokee County for giving false information to an officer. He does appear to meet the criteria for UJR level 3. Nothing in addition.
Thank you, Ms. Allen.
Thank you, Your Honor. This is a call from October the 19th at about 3:30 p.m. Police were called to the Dollar General, which is the occupation workplace of the victim in this case. Her name is Asia Knuckles. That's 653 Holcomb Bridge Road. She called police and reported being assaulted. She was the only employee at the location at the time. When police spoke with her on scene, she reported that the defendant is an ex-boyfriend of hers, that they've never lived together, so this isn't technically domestic violence, but that he showed up at her place of work and started following her around the store, yelling at her. He also slapped her in the back of the head. He followed her into areas that are employee-only areas. While on scene, the defendant made violent statements and outbursts in front of police, admitting that he'd slapped Mrs. Knuckles and saying that she deserved it for spending his money. The victim is also, an employee of the location, and she reported that she directed him multiple times to leave, and he refused to leave. We've been in touch with Ms. Knuckles, Your Honor. She is requesting no contact. She's requesting stay away from her place of work as well as her residence, and that address is 226 Grove Place in Roswell. That's apartment 45. She reported that they are no longer in a relationship and share no children, and she's fearful. We'd ask for a $2,000 surety, Your Honor. No contact with Ms. Knuckles. Stay away from both her place of work and her home, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. Thank you.
Mr. McClain.
Your Honor, certainly he recognizes this is a misstep for a person who's on probation, and I need to emphasize to Your Honor that he is extremely stable in his employment. He has both what you call frame carpentry skills and finish carpentry skills like cabinet making. So he has 2 sets of tradesperson skills, but in addition, he has aptitude and skills in management and business, and he is now the manager of one of the McDonald's locations in Atlanta, Your Honor. It's in Sandy Springs. Your Honor, he has 24, I believe, over 20 years. Let's see, 2000. He's been in Atlanta. He's been in the Georgia area. He's been in Georgia for 24 years. So he's only 38. And that means that he's been here for his adult life, essentially. So he's a local person. And I noted that his mother has a local phone number. She was easy to reach. I believe she's watching the proceedings on Zoom. I would ask the court, under the circumstances, to let that probation matter be in the driver's seat, because they are able to spend more resources than our side is, I think, on analyzing this and seeing how bad this is, or whether it could be looked at as a misstep and move on. We would ask the court to consider a signature bond.
Your Honor, just to clarify, the defendant, while on probation, went to the location to confront someone who had broken up with him, proceeded to smack her in the back of the head as he followed her into employee-only areas, and is captured on 911 during a dispute because while she's calling the police, he's smacking her in the head. So I would argue that this isn't just a probation violation that is a misstep. This is actually a whole new case. And making an argument like we should just let probation address this and take the lead on this isn't acknowledging the fact that these are new criminal charges, a separate victim, a separate crime. That is very concerning for the state, Your Honor, just that kind of argument. I apologize.
No, you're fine. For the simple battery, it's going to be a $1,500 good bond. For the criminal trespass, a $500 good bond, makes for a total of a $2,000 good bond. No further contact with Ms. Knuckles. Stay away from the Dollar General on Holcomb Bridge Road and the Grove Place address. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Matthews.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Next is position 16, Mr. Brandon Phillips.
Good afternoon, Mr. Phillips. You've been charged in case 24 CR 007150C with battery, violence, and criminal trespass. Is there a history, Ms. Jackson?
Yes, Your Honor. He has 26 cycles. The last arrest was June the 9th, 2024 in Fulton County for criminal damage to property in the second degree and possession of tools for commission of a crime. That case appeared to be still pending, Your Honor. That case number is 24 PI 1004113. Also, he appears to have an additional open case pending in Fulton County for theft by taking. That case number is 24 SC 001435. And he does have misdemeanor convictions and sentences. Sworn in 2022 out of Henry County for driving while license suspended or revoked. He received a nolo contendory sentence in 2018 for driving while license suspended or revoked. Sworn in 2017 out of Clayton County for battery, family violence. And he received a nolo contendory sentence in 2016 out of Clayton County for criminal trespassing. Sworn in 2008 for possession of marijuana less than an ounce and theft by taking. Sworn in 2005 for criminal trespassing. He does appear to meet the criteria for UJR a level 3. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Allen.
Thank you, Your Honor. This is an incident from the 19th of October at about 4:30 a.m. Police were called to 43 Clay Street. This is Fairburn. The warrants indicate that police had been there at least 2 different times prior to this incident. So this was the 3rd time. It also notes in the warrant that both prior incidences, Mr. Phillips, the defendant, was determined to be the primary aggressor. The victim on scene, Your Honor, Miss Evangeline Thompson, reported that she'd been living at the location for a short period of time with the defendant, that they'd argued because he took her keys from her and she tried to leave. She tried to get those keys back from him out of his pocket, and at that point he used both of his hands to strangle her. She reported that she was pushed over and leaning over a table as he did this. And she used the words choking her. She was seen to have a visible cut on the neck as well as redness on her neck. We have been in touch with the victim today. She reports that they share no children and live together. We did a strangulation assessment, and she says, and I use the word again, choking, but she was only choked for a few seconds before the defendant let go. She did not feel like she was going to lose consciousness. And she does admit that she tried to call the police, or she had to call the police prior at least 2 different times, based on having a phone snatched out of her hand, kicking the door, breaking items in the phone. She did indicate, the victim in this case, Mrs. Thompson, that she's not afraid of the defendant. I would argue that based on the recent multiple incidences, she might not be in the best position to make a judgment about her safety, seeing as she's had to call police at least 3 different times. We've requested those prior police reports, 911 calls, and body cam, Your Honor. Based on the information in the documents, we'd asked for a $2,000 surety. That also is considering the criminal history here. I would note that the defendant has 2 prior cases for battery family violence, one that was dead docketed after he completed pretrial intervention in 2003, and another that was null prost in 2017 in Clayton County. So although his most recent criminal matters and his 2 open felony cases deal with criminal damage to property and theft, this is not a new set of facts. We'd ask for no contact and a 2-day anger awareness, Your Honor, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. And if you'd like to sound from Ms. Thompson, I believe she's on the line.
Okay, I see you there, Ms. Thompson. If you would like to address the court, now is your opportunity to do so. I need for you to raise your right hand for me, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. You can place your hand down. What would you like to tell the court?
Well, some of the statements that were made was not true. He did not break nothing in my phone. He did not take my keys. We were arguing. We had, had been arguing all day. Yes, I did call the police a few times on him because he was disorderly. And I really wanted him to just walk away, to take a breather for a moment so everything can calm down, but it never happened. I'm not in fear of Mr. Phillips. This is our first altercation argument or whatever. He's never been violent towards me. Yes, he did have his hand around my neck. It was not both hands. He had one. But I don't fear for my safety. I'm not scared of him.
Okay, so you're telling me that this has never happened before?
Never.
And on this date, how many times did you call the police?
I called the police 3 times because he was just unruly in here. He was cussing and all outside in front of the house, embarrassing me in front of my neighbors, and I wanted him to just take a walk, and he would not leave. We do stay together. He has a job, and I would prefer for him to come out and resume his normal life. He does have a job that he goes to every day. He has a good job, or whatever the case may be. I just don't want the back and forth, the arguing. I'm not into arguing. I don't want it.
Yes,
But this is
ma'am.
our first incident.
Okay. Thank you for being here, man. Mr.
Thank you.
McLean?
Not a whole lot I can add there, Your Honor. I think that given the circumstances, we would ask the court to consider a signature bond. And I note that he is a local person. He's got family here. He and his brother, their dad died 2 years ago. Their mother's living, and they're all close knit and will help him make sure he does not miss court.
Okay, so for the battery, it'll be a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 3. For the criminal trespass, $1,000 signature bond through pretrial level 3, makes for a total of a $4,000 signature bond through pretrial level 3. 3-day anger awareness, no further violent contact with Ms. Thompson, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Phillips.
Thank
Your
you.
client has his hand up, Mr. McLean.
Yes, when can I take that evaluation? When can I take that? And how do I go about taking it?
Mr. McLean will speak with you after court regarding your question. If you'll do that for me, Mr. McLean.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Next is position number 19, Mr. Rayfield Simpson.
Good afternoon, Mr. Simpson. You've been charged in case 24 CR 007151D with criminal trespass. Is there a history, Ms. Jackson?
Yes, Your Honor. He has 23 cycles. The last arrest was September the 15th, 2024, with the Georgia Tech Police Department for criminal trespassing. That case appeared to be still pending, Your Honor. Also, he appears to have an open case with the City of Atlanta for theft by shoplifting. There was no case number provided. It looks more like a reference number if you would like that, Your Honor.
No, thank you, Ms. Jackson.
Also, he appears to have an open case pending in East Point, Georgia for theft by shoplifting. There was no case number. It looks more like an arrest date for that, and that was July the 4th, 2024. And he does appear to have an open case pending in DeKalb County for simple assault and disorderly conduct. In addition to that, he has other cases pending in DeKalb County, one for theft by shoplifting, and there's another one for theft by shoplifting and simple battery and criminal trespassing and a failure to appear. And the last case is theft by shoplifting and criminal trespassing. Also, he appears to have an outstanding hold out of Brookhaven, Georgia, for a failure to appear. The date on that warrant is September the 12th, 2024. He does have a prior misdemeanor conviction. It's in 2016 out of Maryland for the violation of a protection order. And he does appear to meet the criteria for a UJR level 4. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
Thank you. Sally?
Thank you, Your Honor. This is an incident that happened on October the 20th at about 3 a.m. The defendant has a 2-year ban. He was banned from the location. This is specifically 501 6th Street Northwest. And that ban was put in place in September of this year, September the 15th. At about 3 a.m., police were notified that he had entered into the location and remained. This is part of Georgia Tech campus, and he was arrested. I would note that he's got multiple criminal trespass convictions. I see one that is related to a bus route. That's a 23 CR case. I know the last arrest was a 2024 criminal trespass. I'm not sure what the case number is on that. Maybe pretrial can assist, but there are multiple prior similar instances. We'd ask for $1,000 surety, Your Honor. Stay away from the location at 501 6th Street. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons. We'd ask for a MHET.
Okay. Mr. McLean?
Your Honor, my client is 32 years old. He tells me he has a stable address at the address shown on his card, the 3 card. He tells me also that he works at Pay Center doing cleanup work. That's a commercial establishment that is on Cleveland Avenue in Atlanta, and that he does the type of janitorial work there. So he would say he's industrious and we would ask the court to consider as low a bond as possible, including a signature bond if that is possible.
The $500 good bond, stay away from 5016 6th Street, no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Simpson.
Okay, very well. Next is position number 20, Mr. Brandon Traywick.
Good afternoon, Mr. Troywick. You've been charged in case 24 CR 0071553J with three counts of simple battery and 1 count of willful obstruction of law enforcement officers. Is there a history, Ms. Jackson?
He has 15 cycles. The last arrest was March the 11th, 2024 in Dothan, Alabama for dangerous drugs. And there was no disposition for that arrest. He does have 1 prior felony conviction. It's in 2017 out of Gwinnett County for 2 counts of terroristic threats and act. And he does appear to meet the criteria for UJR at level 3. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Allen.
Thank you, Your Honor. This is an incident that occurred on the 19th of October, actually at Emory St. Joseph's up on Peachtree Dunwoody Road in Sandy Springs. That's 5665 Peachtree Dunwoody. Police were called to the location around 10 p.m. Because of a disorderly person. There they met with 2 security officers as well as a medical tech who reported that medical tech Jerron Benjamin, Jeronne, had been in the room where the defendant was located, trying to take his vitals when he became uncooperative. He refused to sit. He began waving his arms around and he actually shoved her. At that point, she called for security to get some assistance, and she reported that she was fearful as a result of being made contact with and being shoved by the defendant. 2 security officers arrived, Takeda May, as well as Delilah Clark, responded to the location. They saw that there was a pocket knife on the little table next to the defendant and went to remove that knife. At that point, the defendant was seen to pull his hands out from underneath a pillow on his bed, and he used pepper spray to spray these 2 security officers. He actually sprayed Takeda May directly in the eyes. The pepper spray was removed from his hands. He then began swinging at the 2 officers as they went to detain him. That's the basis of the obstruction charge, Your Honor. And the defendant was 1013'd, I think, as a result of this behavior. He does have prior violence in his history that includes that Gwinnett County case for harassing phone calls and terroristic threats. He's also got stalking arrests, harassing communication arrests, and failure to appear, all out of Texas, Your Honor. We have been in touch with Ms. May, who's a security officer, and I know, some of these cases, I think it is easy to say part of a person's job in this kind of setting is to deal with this kind of behavior, but I would argue that in the recent years, it has become more and more of an issue, and that the medical environment, just like the jail environment and the law enforcement officers that we deal with every day, their job is not to deal with the lack of services or infrastructure available to people. So for folks in a professional setting trying to keep the peace, to be constantly put in a position to have someone assault them and endanger their bodily safety is too much to ask. We spoke to Mrs. May. She confirmed the information in the warrant. She reported that this spray was put directly into her eyes, and that because of her hairstyle, which are dreadlocks, it has stayed in and around her hair. So she continues to have irritation as a result of this. The defendant has been criminally trespassed from the location at the hospital, but obviously we're asking for no contact and to stay away from that location officially as part of his bond order. We'd also ask for a mental health evaluation and to follow any recommendations or maintain medication compliance based on the fact that he's got a felony conviction for similar and violent behavior, even though it was in 2016. We'd ask for a $2,000 surety, Your Honor. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons, stay away, no contact, and that evaluation, I believe, is appropriate. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. May, I see you there. If you would like to address the court, now is your opportunity to do so. You have to unmute yourself for me, please. And good afternoon, ma'am. Raise your right hand for me. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court would be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you can place your hand down. Yes, Ms. May, what would you like to tell the court?
I just want the court to know that he thought it was a game. He felt like this is something that he can get away with. Even when I walked in the room, before I even said anything to him about the tech, he felt like he'll beat the charges and the charges will be dropped. So I'm here to show him today that I'm not playing. Like, I'm gonna see this through all the way. Example need to be made that pepper spraying somebody in a hospital setting with a sick patients next to him is unacceptable, and that's just something that I won't tolerate, and the hospital will not tolerate as well.
Thank you, Ms. May. We appreciate you being here this afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Mr. McLean?
Your Honor, the no contact and stay away ideas are completely appropriate. I'm going to have a social worker visit him. His education level, Your Honor, is above high school. He went to Gupton Jones, which I believe is in DeKalb County. I've seen them. They're a school that teaches mortuary skills. And he has a license and graduated in February of 2008. He is the part owner of a funeral home in Alabama. So he has a stake in the economic life of a community here in the South. And his mother's phone number is local. It's a 470. And he is in Atlanta quite a bit. Not only is this his alma mater, but I believe he has other community ties here as well that might be further developed. He's been in Georgia off and on, he tells me, for 21 years, since approximately 2003. So I would consider that to be a local person. I think he does have pretty substantial ties here. But, Your Honor, we would ask the court to consider as low a bond as possible, including the idea of a signature bond, given the overall circumstances. And I will be putting out a memo to our social worker to have him looked at to see if he needs a evaluation.
Your client has his hand up, Mr. McLean. Would you like to address him prior to me?
I'd rather address that after court, Mr. Trawick.
Sir, no, sir. I would need to say this right here. I was a patient at the hospital with kidney
Wait
stones.
a minute, Trawick, Mr. Trawick, facts of the case. We don't do that in bond hearings. We just don't.
I got you, bro.
Okay, you'll have your day in court at a later time.
Definitely will. Thank you.
Okay, so for today, it'll be a $500 good bond per charge, makes for a total of a $2,000 good bond. No further contact with the alleged victim. Stay away from Emory St. Joseph's at Peachtree Dunwoody. A social worker visit for BHET, and no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond.
Sir, see y'all in court. Thank you.
Good luck to you, sir.
Sir, thank you.
Position number 21, Mr. Tumblin.
Right there.
Good afternoon, Mr. Tumblin. You've been charged in case 24 CR 007157A with criminal trespass and giving false information to law enforcement. Is there a history, Ms. Jackson?
Yes, he has 53 cycles. The last arrest was July the 24th, 2024 in Fulton County for a failure to appear. The underlying charge was not listed. He does appear to have an outstanding hold out of Texas for a probation violation. The date on that warrant was July the 1st, 2010. And he does have prior felony convictions. One in 2017 out of Clayton County for battery, family violence, a felony. One in 2001 out of Cobb County for cruelty to children in the first degree. One in 1999 out of Cobb County for theft by receiving stolen property. And one in 1994 for robbery. He does have misdemeanor sentences and convictions. He received a nolo contendere sentence in 2019 for criminal trespassing. And he received a nolo contendere sentence in 2018 for possession of marijuana less than an ounce. There was a conviction in 2012 for simple battery, family violence, and disorderly conduct. And there was one in 2011 for criminal trespassing. An additional one in 2011 for battery. And there was one in 2008 out of Texas for driving while intoxicated. One in 2001 out of Cobb County for simple battery. He does appear to meet the criteria for a UJR level 3. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Allen.
Thank you, Your Honor. This incident is from the 20th of October at about 1:50 a.m. Police were notified that the defendant was located sleeping on the roof at the Krogman School Lofts. That's Krogman. That's at 1093 West Avenue. He'd been previously criminally trespassed from the location. And in fact, the failure to appear that pretrial told you about is the 24 CR 000703A case, where he pled guilty on August the 6th, 2024, and was ordered as part of his probation in that sentence to stay away from the Krogman School Lofts apartments. He was at that time, and for that case, sleeping in the laundry room. The defendant does have a substantial criminal history that includes violence and actually has multiple criminal convictions for domestic violence against the same victim out of this jurisdiction. But it looks like today what we're dealing with is a mental health or substance abuse issue and a housing issue. We'd ask for a $2,000 surety, Your Honor, an order to stay away from the location, although of course that's part of the order of the sentence he's currently under, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. Again, that's 1093 West Avenue. That's the Krogman School Lofts. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McLean?
Your Honor, his mailing address is stable at 201 Washington Street, which is the Presbyterian Church, so he will be watching his mail. He has applied for disability. He was a pedestrian at one point, hit by a car, and has nerve damage. Takes certain medications he told me about. What we have here, the obstruction, I believe, was by giving the false name, if I'm correct. And
I actually changed it to false information. He gave the false name and a false date of birth, in addition to sleeping on the roof at a place he's been ordered to stay away from.
okay. And the sleeping on the roof, Your Honor, is there. He was wearing a jacket and a hoodie, and it was chilly, so he was getting warmer. But, Your Honor, with the past employment, even before the unfortunate incident which led to his disability, which is pretty severe, he has worked at a lot of warehouses and restaurants. So he's an industrious person there. I've reached out to his mother and left a message. I don't think that she got the message to be able to Zoom on. So we would ask the court to consider, he is a local person. We'd ask the court to consider as low a bond as possible, including the idea of a signature bond, if that's possible.
Well, we have to figure out why he keeps going back to the Krogman School Lofts, and what the problem is there. At the present time, it's going to be a $250 good bond on each charge, makes for a total of a $500 good bond. Stay away from the Krogman School Lofts, social worker visit for a BHET, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond.
I apologize, Your Honor. Would you repeat that bond again, please?
$250 good bond per charge, $500 total. Stay away from the incident location, social worker visit for BHET, and no drugs, alcohol, weapons. Good luck to you, Mr.
Next is position number 22, Mr. Michael Walker.
Good afternoon, Mr. Walker. You've been charged in case 24 CR 007163J with 2 counts of battery, family violence, cruelty to children in the 3rd degree, and giving false information to law enforcement. Is there a history, Ms. Jackson?
He has 3 cycles. The last arrest was June the 22nd, 2015, out of East Point, Georgia, for affray and disorderly conduct and obstruction of an officer. There was no disposition for that arrest, Your Honor. He does have one misdemeanor conviction in 2013 out of East Point, Georgia, for a non-fingerprintable offense. And he appears to have an outstanding hold out of Decatur, Georgia, for a failure to appear. The underlying charge was not listed. The date on the warrant was April the 26th, 2019. He does appear to meet the criteria for a UJR a level 1. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Allen.
Thank you, Your Honor. This is an incident that occurred on October the 19th at about 3:15 a.m. Police in East Point were called to 1377 Virginia Avenue. That's the Motel 6 there at the Atlanta airport. On scene, they met with victim Lee Shoulders. She's joined us on the Zoom, so if you'd sound for her when I'm done, that would be great. Officer Gray wrote in his report that while working off duty at the location, a third party approached and said that there had been an argument that was heard between a male and a female who were in room 307. The person on scene pointed out blood on the floor going from the elevator to the door and the room 307. Police observed that blood as well and went to the door of 307 where blood was also seen on the handle. They knocked on the door and the defendant, Mr. Walker, came to the door and answered it. At that point, police saw blood on the wall inside the location. And they saw an 11-year-old little boy, Jakari Hurd, sitting on the couch there, or sitting on the bed there. This is a hotel. More blood was seen in and around the pathway from the residence or the door, entry of the door, and all the way to the elevator. When the defendant answered the door, he gave a false name. He said his name was Artemis Hurd. He was asked what happened, and he said his girlfriend fell and hit her head when she slipped on water inside the room. Police made contact with the victim, Mrs. Shoulders. She was in the bathroom holding a towel to her face. She was described as having her face covered in blood. She had a deep laceration to the left side of her eye area and also claimed that she'd slipped when she got out of the shower and hit her face on the toilet. Interestingly enough, there was no blood in the bathroom to support that injury occurred there in the bathroom. She also was seen to have scratches to the right side of her neck and her chest area. She was described as tearful and fearful. Eventually, once separated, the victim did admit that the defendant became angry with her when she came back to the room after being out with a friend. He had gone through old messages on an iPad and accused her of being unfaithful. While she sat on the bed and her child was present, he threw an object at her, striking her in the head, which caused that deep laceration. She said she wasn't even sure what the object was. She also reported that when she tried to leave the room to go get help, he told her not to do so. That's how the blood got in the hallway, and that she should just put a towel on her gash on her face. She also reported that the defendant, while angry with her and arguing with her, jacked her up, those are her words, and ripped her shirt off, and that's what causes scratches to her chest and her neck. The victim reported to the police that she has nowhere else to go, that she and the defendant share a small child, and that they've been together for about 3 years, and he pays for where they are currently staying. This was reported to police while the two individuals were separated. Obviously, her child was also present and a witness to this incident. The defendant denied striking the victim, but admitted that there had been a physical scuffle and he had scratches seen on his forearm that he said were old, but they were obviously fresh and bleeding. And the state would argue those are defensive marks. We did get confirmation that the victim received 12 stitches as a result of this incident, and the jail calls from the defendant to the victim include him talking about court happening today at 2, asking her if she'll be there, asking if the police took pictures of her injuries. She lets him know that they took pictures at the hospital and that she got stitches. She tells him what she explained happened when she was asked about her injuries at the hospital, and helps him understand that she can't just make up that she, wasn't injured by him as a result of the obvious injuries on her head. Your Honor, we'd ask for a $4,000 good bond, no contact with the victim, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. We have been in contact with Mrs. Shoulders, and she is on the Zoom. She acknowledges that she received stitches as a result of this assault. She says this has never happened before, and she's not in fear, and she wants to continue contact and for him to return to the residence. That the child that was present for this incident is not the child she shares with the defendant. That child, I guess, wasn't present, but they do share a child. Based on the information just presented to you, Your Honor, and the obvious injury, this could be an aggravated assault, an aggravated battery. It's not today. I went ahead and charged it, but that's going to be reviewed at my request. And we'd argue that just based on the statements of a victim who's particularly vulnerable, shares small children, and is dependent on this gentleman to provide a safe place for her, you're hearing evidence of communication that is indicative of an ongoing crime, an attempt to tamper with a victim who is vulnerable and who has a bloody laceration and now 12 stitches on her face. Being asked what she told the people at the hospital and if she's going to be here on the Zoom today. So her statements to us that she's not afraid of this gentleman and she wants him home are not in her best interest. They're not in the best interest of her small children. And we would ask that you order not only a cash bond, but no contact. And if the court's not inclined to do a cash bond, we'd ask for an ankle monitor at the defendant's expense, please. Thank you. And if you'd sound for Ms. Lee's Shoulders.
Ms. Shoulders, I see you on the line. If you would like to address the court, now is your opportunity to do so. I'll need for you to raise your right hand for me. Do you swear from the testimony you're about to give before this court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, and can you stay stationary for me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. What would you like to tell the court?
This has never happened before. It was just a small argument. He's never been physical with me. I don't think the no contact should be like against him because we do stay together and we do have a small child. But honestly, this was never meant to happen. I'm sorry. This was never meant to happen. As I was actually getting up from the bed, that's when he threw the object. So it didn't mean, I don't feel like honestly it was meant to hit me. He was just trying to like toss it to the bed, but as I was standing up, that's when it hit me. So I feel like it's really an honest mistake. And again, we was just really just pulling on each other. It wasn't nothing like too big. But I don't feel like it should be like a no contact thing. Honestly, I'm not fearful of my life.
Okay,
like he's never been physical with me. He's never done anything to me.
The injuries that I'm seeing on your face, are those a result of this incident?
Yes.
And you had to go to the hospital?
Yes.
And you had to get how many stitches?
12.
And you think that I'm gonna believe that that's just because he tossed something at you?
He did. I don't know exactly what it was, but he didn't hit me. He wasn't physical. He don't have any marks. I don't have any marks other than this, for
Other
real.
than 12 stitches above your eye. So, and how old was the child that was with you?
11.
Okay, and he witnessed all this?
Yes. Well, we were in the restroom. So my son was sitting on the bed as we were in the restroom.
Okay, but y'all were arguing?
Yes.
So he could hear that?
Yes.
And he saw you with blood on your face?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Anything further that you need to tell me, Ms. Shoulders?
No.
Okay, thank you for being here, ma'am. Mr. McLean?
Your Honor, my client is 31 years old. He can live at his mother's place if necessary. He has really good job stability, so he's got good mail service through his mother's address. That's in East Point. He works at HD Supply, and the HD stands for Home Depot. So basically, for about a year, he's been working at this place that has Home Depot products as a warehouse. They don't manufacture the items there. And before that, very good job, he did 2 other stints at warehouses, one 6 years long and one that was 3 to 4 years long. So basically, it's been warehouse, warehouse, warehouse for the last decade, literally 10 years. I got hold of his dad, and so he's local. He does have family concern and support in that sense, and we would ask the court to consider as low a bond as possible.
All right, for each of the battery charges, it'll be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial, level 3. For the cruelty, $1,000 signature bond through pretrial, level 3. For the false information, $1,000 signature bond through pretrial, level 3. Makes for a total of a $6,000 signature bond through pretrial, level 3. 5-day anger awareness, no further contact with Lee Shoulders. Stay away from the Virginia Avenue address. If I'm not sure if they're still staying there or not, but if he needs to go back to that address, he can go back on one occasion with law enforcement to retrieve any belongings. Third-party transfer of any minor children, no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Let me just let you know, Mr. Walker, that no contact means absolutely no contact until this is resolved, okay? I'm not going to keep you from your child, but as far as Lee Shoulders go, you're to have no contact, no phone contact, no personal contact, certainly no social media contact, no contact whatsoever. If I find out that you're having contact, I will revoke this bond. Good luck to you, sir.
The next, Your Honor, we got position 23, Mr. Armando White.
Good afternoon, Mr. White. You've been charged in case 24 CR 0071678 with theft by taking 2 counts. Is there a history, Ms. Jackson?
Your Honor, he does not have any prior arrests on file. He appears to meet the criteria for UJR level 1. Nothing in addition.
Thank you, Ms. Allen.
This is an incident from August, Your Honor. At about midnight, police responded to 6115 Hillendale Drive in South Fulton. They met with the victim, whose name is Janelle Johnson. She reported that the defendant, who also has the same address, took a 32-inch screen TV and her wallet, that he came to the home without her permission and took these items without her permission. This is a delayed arrest, so there's been an active warrant for a period of time since August. We did speak to the victim, Mrs. Johnson. She reports that they are in a relationship and that she and her friend called the police to get the defendant to leave. That when police arrived, he was no longer there, and they didn't realize that he'd put the TV underneath the bed. So it was returned to her. She doesn't want to move forward. I'm not sure if she's on the Zoom, Your Honor. We'd ask for $1,000 SOB through trial, and no violent contact with Ms. Johnson, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. And if you'd sound for her, Janelle Johnson. Thank you.
Yes, good afternoon, Ms. Johnson. If you can unmute yourself for me, ma'am.
Hello.
Good afternoon. Can you raise your right hand for me?
My right arm is broken.
Oh, okay. All right. So, do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. What would you like to tell the court?
Okay, so when the officers came out to the house, the reason why they came was so that he could just be removed from the property for a little while. We was actually, we was not physical fighting. We just had a little small disagreement. The police was called, which I feel like is something we could have worked out instead of the police being called. I came home I did not see the TV where it was sitting. He later told me when we talked that the TV was under the bed. I never told them that he took my wallet. First off, the man asked me for my ID. So I said, oh, hold on, where my wallet? He had his little thing, taking down notes of everything that was being said. So I went in the room, I grabbed my wallet, came back with my ID, showed the man. He told me when he went to go look up Junior's name that they could not find anything, so there won't be no warrants or anything put out against him. So I said, okay, cool. He gave me some papers and said if I wanted to press charges or put a warrant out, I can do that. Me and him has worked on our issue. We have not been having any unnecessary issues. So when this kind of took place, it took a wrong turn. I don't really understand what they was arresting him for, because the dude called my phone and I spoke with him and told him, no, I don't want any charges to be put on him or anything.
Okay, thank you for being here this afternoon, Ms. Johnson. Mr. McLean, any objection to any of the state's requests?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, so for each charge, it'll be a $500 signature bond through pretrial level 1, makes for a total of $1,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. No further violent contact with Ms. Johnson, no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. White. Norris, do we have some announcements?
Yeah, we have 2 waivers. And that's gonna be position number 9 is a waiver. And also position number 17 is a waiver.
Okay, thank you. Position number 9 is Emmanuel Henson, charged in case 24 CR 00716 with criminal trespass and willful obstruction of law enforcement officers. Is there a history, Ms. Jackson?
Yes, he has 12 cycles. The last arrest was October the 2nd, 2024 in Roswell, Georgia for criminal trespassing and obstruction of an officer. He does appear to be on first offender probation in Gwinnett County for possession of a firearm or a knife during commission of a felony. That disposition date was September the 16th, 2021, and the term is for 5 years. Also, he appears to be on probation in Fulton County for criminal trespassing, damage to property, and obstruction of an officer. That case number is 24 CR 006822 and the letter D. That disposition date was October the 17th, 2024, and the term is for 12 months. He also appears to have an additional open probation case. That case number is 24 SC 00194 for obstruction of an officer. That disposition date was May the 24th, 2024, and the term is for 12 months. And he does have 1 misdemeanor conviction that was in 2019 out of Gwinnett County for criminal trespassing. He appears to meet the criteria for a UJR a level 2. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. McConkey?
Yes, Your Honor. This incident occurred October 19th, 2024 at the Target located at 6000 North Point Parkway in Alpharetta. The defendant was asked to leave the location several times but refused to do so. When officers tried to detain him, he resisted arrest and kept trying to grab the officer's magazine while repeatedly saying, "Pop the gun." The state's recommendation, based on his history, which includes numerous arrests this year and also convictions and open probation cases, is a $500 surety bond for the criminal trespass, a $1,000 surety bond on the willful obstruction, a stay away from that incident location, a social worker visit, and no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond.
Mr. McLean?
I'm sorry, could the state repeat the first part of the recommendation again?
Yes, that was a $500 surety on the criminal trespass, a $1,000 surety on the willful obstruction, a stay away, and social worker visit.
Thank you. Your Honor, my client asked me to, while he did waive his presence, he wanted me to let Your Honor know that he has worked in the fast food industry primarily, working at fast food restaurants, and that he is up for a job through Georgia Works. So apparently, he's been in contact with Georgia Works and is anticipating a placement through their program. He went to North Clayton High School and Creekside High School. One's in Norman Drive in North Clayton County, almost in Fulton, and the other one's in South Fulton. He did not complete high school, Your Honor. He did want to ask the court to set a bond as low as possible, but he didn't need to be here, he said. Thank you.
Does he have a place to live, Mr. McLean? Is he?
Well, he gave me two phone numbers, one for a mom and one for a dad. And I've been making all these phone calls. I'm trying to see which ones I reached. I could, within about 5 minutes, I think we've only got one more to go after this. I could report back whether I reach anybody.
No, I'm just wondering, his criminal trespass, is that a, does he need some help as far as housing? He has he's
I think so.
Back to back in 2024. So if we can help him out in some way so that we can reduce the criminal trespass, that would be preferable.
Absolutely.
Right.
Social worker in order.
Okay, thank you. It'll be $1,000 signature bond through pretrial on each count level 2, makes for a total of a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2. Social worker visit to assist with housing if necessary. Stay away from the target on North Point Parkway, and no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. The next waiver is position number 17. Mr. Rahim, charged in case 24 CR 0071552Y with criminal trespass and willful obstruction of law enforcement officers. Is there a history, Ms. Jackson?
Just a moment, please, Your Honor.
Okay.
Yes, he has 4 cycles. The last arrest was October the 29th, 2022, at the Georgia State University for a criminal attempt to commit a misdemeanor and disorderly conduct and obstruction of an officer. There was no disposition for that arrest. He does have 1 misdemeanor sentence that was in 2022. He received a nullo contendory sentence out of Clayton County for theft by taking, and he does appear to meet the criteria for a UJR at level 2. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
This incident happened on the 16th of October in East Point at about 8 p.m. This is the Rapes Track gas station at 3503 Camp Creek Parkway. Off-duty officer Locklin, Locklin, was on scene when the defendant came up and began banging on the window of his vehicle, asking about what it meant to be criminally trespassed, saying that he was there at the location to make some money and he wasn't going to go anywhere, and told the police officer to go do his job. Officer asked the defendant multiple times to leave, confirmed that he'd been criminally trespassed from the location. The defendant refused and told him he wasn't going to go anywhere again. He was taken into custody. We'd ask for a $2,000 surety, Your Honor, to stay away from the location, and a BHET. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons. Thank you.
Okay. This your case, Mr. McLean?
It is, Your Honor. Let me inquire, is his dad on the Zoom with us?
What's his father's name?
I don't have the father's name. I just had called the phone number, but is Mr. Rahim's father here? He was going to try to Zoom on. Your Honor, the main argument I would make is that he has fewer cycles than a lot of people do, and this is a fairly straightforward set of facts. We would ask the court to set the bond as low as possible. I agree that I'm going to. This is also a case in which I would send a social worker to see if an evaluation would be advisable.
So for each charge, it'll be $1,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2. Makes for a total of a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2. Stay away from the racetrack on Camp Creek Parkway. Social worker visit. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Okay, I believe that completes the 2 o'clock calendar. Ms. Champion, whenever you're ready for us.
Position number 1 is a $5,000 pretrial level 3. It's going to be reset to the SAPs. He has an open felony case. Position number 2 is a $3,000 pretrial level 3 reset further notice. Position number 3 is a $4,000 total pretrial level 1 reset further notice. Position number 4 is a $2,000 pretrial level 1 reset further notice. Position number 5 is a total of a $3,000 good bond reset SAP. Position number 6 is a total of a $1,000 good bond reset SAP. Position number 7 is a total of a $2,000 pretrial level 1 reset further notice. Position number 8 is going to be reset to the C on 10/22 tomorrow. Position number 9 is a total of a $2,000 pretrial level 2 reset further notice. And Mr. McLean, I will need the waivers sent to me, please.
Right, number 9 and 16, I believe, right?
9 and 17.
17, thank you. Right, 17.
Position number 10 is a $2,000 sign-on bond through the jail reset further notice. Position number 11 is a $2,000 pretrial level 2 reset further notice. Position number 12 is a $2,000 total good bond reset SAP. Position number 13 is a $4,000 total pretrial level 1 reset further notice. Position number 14 is a total of a $2,000 good bond reset SAP. Position number 15 is a total of a $3,000 good bond reset SAP. Position number 16 is a total of a $4,000 pretrial level 3 reset further notice. Position number 17 is a total of a $2,000 pretrial level 2 reset further notice. Position number 18 is a total of a $4,000 good bond reset SAP. Position number 19 is a $500 good bond reset SAP. Position number 20 is a total of a $2,000 good bond reset SAP. Position 21 is a total of a $500 good bond reset SAP. Position 22 is a total of a $6,000 pretrial level 3 reset further notice. Position number 23 is a total of a $1,000 pretrial level 1 reset further notice. Any questions?
Okay, if not, thank you all. I'll see you tomorrow afternoon. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.
As well.
Okay, thank you.